Perro.
Mm-mm.
Good night to you all. Can you hear me? Okay, very good. It's just that I have audio, but I have no video. I'm sorry. Good, I'm so sorry. Thank you.
Good evening, students.
Good evening, teacher.
Good evening, teacher.
Okay, great. We're going to start. The plan for this encounter is to have a debate and then to discuss some information about passive voice, because that is the topic that you studied last week in Dexway. And if you have questions, you can ask anytime. So the topic of our debate tonight is addictions. I have a presentation about some information regarding that topic. But first, I would like to know the words that all of you associate with addiction and the type of addictions that you have heard about.
Drug addictions.
Okay.
Actually, when you're addicted to something, it also counts to work. When somebody's addicted to work, you call him workaholic.
Yeah, right. So we have also work addicts or workaholics, but also we have addicts to drugs, right? Which other addiction have you heard about? Danny?
I'm sorry. Yes, teacher. I think that the most popular addiction in nowadays is addiction to the technology.
Technology, yes.
That's a new one, yes. And what words do you associate with addiction? How could you define that?
Applications, I don't know, internet connection.
But in general, with the word addiction in general, what other words do you associate with that? If we need to define in general the word addiction.
Anxiety.
It's a dependence.
Anxiety, dependence. Which other?
Dependence, necessity, I don't know.
Good.
Worries.
Worries. Okay, here we have a definition. It says that this addiction is the state of being enslaved to a habit or practice or to something that is psychologically or physically habit forming, as narcotics, to such an extent that its cessation causes severe trauma. So yes, people is dependent, but if they try to leave the addiction apart, they can feel some trauma. And here we have other information about addictions. It says that addiction releases dopamine in our brain. So when we ingest a substance, for example, a drug, or when somebody ingests a drug, or when somebody does something that really likes a lot, or that became addict to, what happens in the brain is that a substance that is called dopamine is released, and that's why it is very difficult for addicts to stop their addiction, because it is about chemicals, or it is about something physical that happens in the brain with this substance that is called dopamine. Okay, so
Teacher, I have one question.
Sure, Fernando.
Or something to add. There is also an addiction to caffeine. When people drink a lot of coffee, they begin to be addicted to coffee. I am one case of addiction to coffee.
How many cups of coffee do you drink every day?
5.
5. Okay. And
yes, sometimes when I drink, I get migraines.
So you get migraines because of that. Do you,
Yes, when I don't drink coffee, I get migraines.
when you don't drink coffee. Okay. And
Yes.
when you drink coffee, do you get any other thing? I mean, like, can you sleep well?
No, just I feel much. No, I feel much better.
Okay. But nothing else happens to your body or to you during the.
No, no. Actually, if I drink it at night, I won't be able to sleep. So I try not to drink it at night.
Okay. Yeah, so caffeine is also a substance that people get addicted to. And some people, what they try to do to leave an addiction is to replace it by other, for example, by eating chocolate or uh, chewing gum or something like that. But then they sometimes they become addicted to the other alternative. Okay, here we have a list of addictions. I would like any of you to mention the one that you consider is the most harmful for humans and the
I
reason.
would say all of them are harmful for humans, teacher.
Uh-huh. Have you heard about the?
Different consequences.
Could you repeat?
Yes, different consequences, but all of them are harmful.
Uh-huh. Yes, they have different consequences. But have you heard about the amount of people who die because of one of these addictions? Have you heard about like that, those statistics?
No.
I haven't heard about it, but I can guess that maybe alcohol and maybe, yeah, alcohol, I'll say.
Yes, Carolina, you're right. Um, because people drive when they drink
When they're drunk.
too much, they that causes car accidents, or they
When they get
become
home and
violent.
they,
Mhm.
yeah, violent.
So, well,
Teacher, for example, I'm sorry.
go ahead,
Uh,
Carolina.
for example, Tanya.
Okay, Tanya.
For example, the case of Amy Winehouse.
Uh-huh.
She was cocaine, I think, cocaine addiction.
She was addicted to cocaine, but I also
Yeah,
heard she was addicted to alcohol.
and drugs too.
Yeah, so
I'm not sure, but
go ahead.
I'm not sure, but I think that cocaine too, alcohol and cocaine.
Yeah, so then if they drink too much, they can get seriously sick and they can die. The same happens with cocaine, right? Um, then we have gambling, internet use. Well, we have not heard about any person who have died because of an addiction to internet, but people can get consequences regarding their nervous system. Sexual addiction, well, that causes like other type of problems that
Teacher,
surrounds that situation, right? Rafael?
Fernando,
Fernando?
I
Jaime?
was I was addicted to gambling.
You were addicted to gambling? And
Yes, I was what they call ludopatha.
okay, and how long did it take you to leave that addiction? And what did you do to do it? To leave the addiction of
Well, I'm Christian, right?
uh-huh.
So when I started playing, my dad started to notice that there was money missing at home. I lost money. I lost watches. I collect watches, really good watches, and I went to pound houses to pound my watch. And I lost three watches. I stole money from my grandmother, and it was like for over 3 years that I was playing, to the point that I started lying and giving excuses about my money, and I had to travel abroad to Los Angeles to get better. It took me like 3 months and 3.5 months, and when I came back to Colombia, uh, every time I passed to a casino or something like that, I didn't feel the need to play, but I didn't like the way I felt every time I passed.
Mm,
So it was a really hard time. It was a really hard addiction, and that's it. I wanted to tell my testimony.
thank you. Why did you travel to Los Angeles? Is there any place there where they treat that type of addiction, or
One of my dad's friend, he's a pastor,
ah,
and he held me for 3 months, and he helped me.
okay, I got it. Well, thank you
Yeah,
for
so my
sharing
dad
that.
sent me to LA.
Mhm.
Yeah, my dad sent me to LA with no money. So he sent me money like every month, and it was like $20. So I had to survive with those $20. So I learned how to manage my money in a good way.
Mm, good.
Yes.
Well, have, hopefully you you don't have that addict anymore.
No, that was actually like 10 years ago.
Okay. Well, thank you, Fernando. Any question for Fernando or another person who has experienced something or who has heard about something? Ingrid, please go ahead.
Okay, I have a friend who has an addiction to sex. She can't be alone, and she's always thinking about having sex with someone else, and it's really difficult for her to accept that she has a problem, a really serious problem, because she has a daughter, and that she must seek help because it's an addiction, and she don't accept that she have an addiction for sex.
That's the point, teacher. You don't accept that you have an issue, that you have an addiction. You don't accept that. Even if everybody tells you you are addicted to that, you are addicted to that, you don't accept it. So that's one of the most important factors to overcome that addiction, to accept it first.
Fernando, who helped you to accept or become aware of that? Or
My dad and my
what happened?
family.
What happened
My
to?
dad and my, well, it's just that when you gamble money, you go with the with your mindset on winning, right? Even if you lose your money, you don't leave that place until you get everything back. So that's the loser's thought, right? If you lose everything you have, you won't leave that place until you get it back, right? But if you are really sick and really into travel, you have to accept it by yourself. So my mom and my dad and my whole family, they made me realize that I was having an addiction, and I read about it. When they told me that I was ludopatha, I read about it, and I reflected, and I noticed that of course I had an issue. So that's when I decided to change.
So was there words that helped you to realize that you were addicted to gambling, and after that you looked for readings by your own about that addiction, right?
Yes, yes. One of the symptoms that I read about is that you get depressive every time you lose money, and you feel like committing something wrong. So that's what I felt every time I lose my money. I felt depressive. I felt stealing money from somebody else. So it's a really hard problem to deal with. I don't know about marijuana or alcohol addiction or sex addiction, because I have never had those addictions before. But gambling is a really hard situation. I have heard people that have lost their houses, their family, because of the gambling.
Hmm. Yeah, that's serious. Well, as somebody mentioned, all the addictions are harmful. Mm. But well, some addictions are like can take you to death, while others, like for example, internet use, could be probably less harmful in that sense.
Teacher, and you know what? That I have heard that so many people that are addicted to gambling, and I have heard some cases that uh, sometimes they kill themselves. Yes, they kill themselves
Maybe
because
I
because
guess
they stress, they lose everything, they feel disappointed about everything, and they just kill themselves, and no more. That's the end.
that when you get very depressed, it could happen. Mm. Well, regarding the statistics that we were discussing, it seems that alcohol is the one that causes more deaths in the world. I don't know if anybody else who wants to talk about any other addiction or person that you
Me,
know that has any problem with this. Tanya?
yes, teacher. Well, my cousin is addicted to some drugs, different drugs, and it is very difficult because their addictions leads him to do bad things. For example, stealing or simply 1 or 2 days is lost, and we have tried to help him. But it has been so difficult. We have taken into rehab institutes, but it is so difficult because it has been on the how I don't know how do you say um
She has been to
he
rehab and
yeah, but he died on several occasions.
what happened to her?
He trying to
Commit suicide?
die, yeah,
Ah,
in
okay.
several occasions
Mm.
because it's like a ill. I don't know. It's so difficult the things that he felt and I don't know. It's so hard to live that situation.
Well, I don't know, but I heard like 2 weeks ago that person who was addicted to drugs. I don't know if you saw that program. He was a boy in 1997, and he left his home because he had problems with his father-in-law, and then or his mother-in-law. I think yeah, it was his mother-in-law. Then he came to Bogota. And he consumed drugs, and then he became an addict. Then a journalist took him uh, or interviewed him, and then some people helped him. That people took him to, if I'm not wrong, to the jungle for some months because in the jungle it was impossible to have contact with drugs.
Mhm.
He said that it was the only way he could get like away from drugs, and he could leave his addiction away. Well, there
Are,
are
are you
there are
are
We
you
have
talking
tried.
about Javier Pertus, the kid of the Cartucho Street? Yes.
yes, that
Mhm.
boy, yes.
Yes, he's a singer nowadays. He's a singer, and he's trying to be famous. And thanks to the journalist that did that job, he could overcome that issue. It was a really good story.
Yeah, he said that after his story became like known for many people in the news, he was taken, if I'm not wrong, by Jaramillo, and and a priest to the jungle in a program for addicts. And because of that situation, that he was away from everything in the city or in the cities, it was impossible for him to get drugs. And I guess they are asked to do some tasks, I guess, every day. So it was the way to take them, these addicts, away from drugs. And this person said that it was the way he could leave that addiction. Any other person who has heard about an experience, close, or any way to leave any addiction?
No, teacher.
Well, the idea of this debate is because you know that marijuana is legal. I mean, recreational marijuana is legal in some places in the world. So the debate is to find out if you consider that it should be legal in Colombia as for recreation, not for medicine, because it is for medicine is legal now, but for recreation. So people who are not sick of anything and just want to smoke. Do you think that is good? That should happen in Colombia? Because, for instance, from the list that we have there, alcohol that is very damaging, that is very harmful, is legal. And from the list, the only ones that are not legal are cocaine, marijuana, and business related to sexuality. But the others are legal. So, do you consider that recreational marijuana should be legal or legalized in Colombia?
Well, it depends of many things.
For
Yeah.
example?
Well, according to politics, they're trying to legalize that because of the problem of narcos and the business that marijuana has, and the other part is the different, that so many people can access to that, and it's really easy for children and kids to do that, but that they like the mismanagement about that, but it's a really big problem that it has to be solutioned.
Okay,
But
so on one hand, you think that the business, I mean, having control on the business could help to overcome the problems with narcos, but on the other hand, if it is legal, so children and adolescents will have
yes, like the
easier
moral
access.
problem of the society, that is really easy to get that, and how to control, how to supervise that. Yes, it's like the debate nowadays, I think so.
Okay. Any other ideas,
Me, teacher.
Ingrid?
I agree with Rafael. Maybe without the prohibition, there will be less violence and crimes in this fact, because the problem is the money behind this. Maybe can help the business is no longer profitable, because I think that the problem is the business, like Rafael. I think that maybe if we don't have the prohibition, the marijuana business or the weed business is now the same rentable, profitable.
And teacher, you know what? I would like to add something about it, and it was that happened last week, I think so. The problem of the bus that it was driving to Ecuador, yes,
Yeah.
that it was loaded with marijuana, and it was a really big problem, because they use people trafficate that, and well, it's it was amazing. It was a terrible story because anyone knew that, and was sad. Yes, that they use that way to trafficate that, and well, if it is legal, many things like this, the problem that happen, like they get reduced, and the other thing is how to control that. Yes, the provide the how to provide the doses, and yes.
Yeah, so it cannot be controlled. It would happen, I guess, the same as with alcohol, with nicotine. So anybody can drink or anybody can smoke. So like here we have like a law that prohibits to sell cigarettes and alcohol drinks to people who are less than 18. However, I guess you have heard that these children and adolescents can have access to that in other ways. So it's very difficult to control. And at the same time, it's a problem that it's so big that it's not possible to stop. I mean, nowadays, many people have tried marijuana, for example, for recreational purposes. So the problem is that big that they they are just trying to find out a solution, as you mentioned, to control the business and stop the business with narcos, but not to help people who are addicted to this.
Teacher,
Daniel.
I believe that here in Colombia, people are not prepared for these kind of things. For example, we see many bad consequences for drugs. For example, we can see violations. Um, we take make children get addicted, vandalism, and other things. For example, I hate seeing children for 15, 16, or 17 years smoking marijuana in parks. For example, my son asked me what they do because they do that and others, and it is an environment in which I don't want that my kid grow up. Um, I don't know. For example, in the parks are not respected. Children cannot uh, go out and play in these places because there is a least one or two people consuming drugs, marijuana.
Mm-hmm. And what have you guys heard about the use of, for example, cocaine or coca, not cocaine, but coca and marijuana by indigenous people? They they consume, but they see it in a different way. What have you heard about that,
I want to add something.
Carolina?
Actually, I agree with Tanya when she talks about that we are not prepared. I consider that our culture, I don't know how to say that, our thoughts, nuestros pensamientos,
Uh-huh.
like we are not prepared. We can always take advantage of everything, and so I consider that we are not in the position to find the real recreational purpose of this kind of medicine or whatever. I don't know how to call it. Actually, I consider that all the problem is in our culture, in our way to see the things, take everything as a business. We want to take advantage of everything. So I consider that is a big problem. We have to start working these kind of topics. I don't know, from the yeah, like in the schools, we have to start to change the mentality of the people.
Okay, I agree.
Uh-huh. Yes, I agree because, for example, if you can see the European culture is completely different in that terms.
I don't agree.
Actually,
I don't agree. I think,
actually, I have
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yes. No, no, continue, teacher.
Well, what I noticed that, I mean, if marijuana and cocaine is a business here, it's because in Europe and in North America there are a lot of addicts with a lot of consequences for those societies. So I
Yes.
think they, in many countries, not in all of them, not in all the countries in Europe, they see the consumption in a different way or they live it in a different way. In other countries, their thoughts or their consciousness about that is different. So they are more responsible or they are more conscious about consequences and they deal with that in a different way. But in most of the countries is the other way around. It becomes a problem for their societies. Well, that's
Yeah,
what I heard.
actually, I don't agree with the option to make it legal, because for example, I have a friend. She lived in Paris for like 8 months, I think, and she was telling me that there it was normal that the students in the schools they smoke cigarettes, actually like right to their teachers. So I don't know that there are like many things that that we can take into account. Actually, we have to keep like the role that we are for those kids like in the society. So I don't know, there are a lot of elements that we have to take into account.
What are the bad consequences of smoking marijuana for recreational purposes? What are the bad consequences for people who do that?
I think that if the marijuana is approved, maybe the murders or fights will increase, and is a bad example for children because maybe children think that smoke marijuana is normal. I think that it's a terrible action. I don't agree with that. For recreation, is not good for me.
Okay, let's compare the consequences of smoking marijuana with the consequences of smoking nicotine. So, in terms of the one which is more harmful, which one is more harmful?
Nicotine.
Nicotine?
Yes.
Why?
I have a huge disagreement about that because yes, nicotine is harmful. Of course, I don't smoke. I have never smoked before, but marijuana, it's been proved that it burns your neurons, so it's also bad for your health.
Uh-huh.
And I know a friend. Before he started to smoke, he started smoking weed. He was really a really clever person, a really clever man. But once he started studying at school, at university, he started smoking weed, and now when you talk to him, he's so empty and, I'm sorry because of the word I'm going to use, so full of silliness and stupid things. You can even hold a conversation with him because it makes no sense what he says. So
Okay.
that's why I disagree. Yes, of course, nicotine is bad for your health, but it doesn't burn your neurons.
Okay.
Teacher,
Yes.
I think that the nicotine is the first step to enter to the other drugs. For example, when you are a kid, you see um, adult people smoking, and and you and the young people want to sing to other people, and many times they want to smoke for sing to other people, and I think too that the nicotine is more dangerous than the marijuana, because nicotine have a poison and other things that damage your body and your organs. The uh, marijuana damage your body and your brain. However, I think that the nicotine is more dangerous.
Okay, thank you, Jaime, for your opinion. So I'm going to show you some facts about marijuana in USA. More than half of the adults have tried it. So that's why, well, this is a serious problem. So it's like usual. More than half of USA adults have tried it. More than one person per minute is arrested there for having marijuana. 64% of North Americans are for the legalization of marijuana. And there are 9 states out of 50 have legalized it. Those are the states: Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, which are all on the east coast of USA. Maine and Vermont and Massachusetts are on the west coast, and Alaska. Those are the 9 states where it is legal now. Now, the people who are against, no, who are for legalizing it, they argue that it is okay because it will help to the economy. It will help to create jobs. It will help to reduce the resources that police needs to be in charge of this problem. Racial disparities will be reduced, and crime will be lower. There won't be drug cartels, and it will be safer for people who smoke it, because that marijuana will be tested, labeled, and it will be child-proof. Will have a packaging child-proof. Those are like the let's say justification that people who are for the legalization have, and the ones that are against the legalization, they think that it will increase the uses in teens. There will be more medical emergencies because of driving high, and that could cause like a car accidents. It will increase the costs in hospitals, visits, addiction treatments, environmental damage, crime, workplace accidents, and lost productivity. And it would harm the users physically and mentally. So again, before you tell me what of these you agree or disagree, I want you to think about the number of deaths that the use of alcohol produce. So there are more people who die because of consuming alcohol than people who have died because they are high when driving, or they have there are like no statistics about people who have died because they smoke a lot of marijuana. So this is like, I'm saying this just to analyze if these justification or opinions are like, let's say, strong or weak. What do you think?
Sure.
Jaime?
I think that the marijuana, cocaine, nicotine is the consequence of other problem that you have in other time of your life. The drugs are the consequence of any of some uh, psychological problem in your life. Um, where the, the the
So yeah, I understand what you mean is that people start consuming drugs because they have psychological or a problem that is affecting their stability and their emotions.
Teacher, could
yes,
you repeat the question, please? I couldn't hear very well. Hear very well.
Yes, 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 I will do it, but before I want Jaime to finish his idea.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Jaime, did you want to say something
yes,
else?
teacher. Um, I say that the drugs are the consequence of the physical uh, or uh, emotional problems. Uh, where I think that in the college or in the hospital or the government should be um, create places for helping to these people and no and the government and the other uh, uh, places should not be to these people like like uh, uh, a person who second uh, the the second class, a person who is a second class
Citizen. Uh-huh.
because citizen, sorry, citizen, because they are illness. The drugs are illness. No, it's a problem, but the real problem is the drugs are illness.
Okay, okay, Jaime. So, in your opinion, marijuana should not be legal for recreational purposes, but the societies should treat addicts of marijuana as people who are sick. Right. Okay. Thank you,
Yes,
Jaime. Rafael, the idea that I had when I displayed these sentences about people who are
Yes.
against or who are pro the legalization of marijuana for recreational purposes is to have you analyze if those justifications are good or if they are weak. Which of those do you agree or disagree with?
Okay.
Teacher, the only good thing that I see legalizing marijuana is that drug cartels will disappear or that kind of business won't work anymore. That is the
Okay,
only thing that I'm agree.
okay, that will be a problem less, but then we will have other problems in
Yes.
society.
Mhm.
Any other opinion?
Well, teacher, I think I would like to mention something about it. And we don't know here in this moment what is going to happen in 5 or 10 years from now, and maybe it could be legalized because behind this legalization, also there is a business. There are many people who are in favor or against. There are many narcos that they pay to politicians to not legalize that, or there are many who are in favor that they want a change for the society or something like that. Yes, for example, politics, or when there are elections, they have some thoughts or ideas and they want to change something, and we don't really know what is going to happen. But I think that the success of this is the control, how to control. If it is legalized, how to control it. For example, that it could be used in some spaces. That, for example, there will be some, like, uh, uh, how do you say that, fines, yes, for those who don't use it in a good way, or in the correct way, like a norm, or like how to do it in the correct way, to not to harm others, not to um, not to also to disturb others, because so many people in the society, they are totally against, and others in favor. And I think also that is about mentality. For example, people who are religious, and churches, and the church, I think that they are totally against about it. But some of them, they are in favor, and some of them want wants that, or young people, I don't know, they want that this uh, get legalized. And it is like a really big debate, yes. And we don't really know what is going to happen, but I think that in any moment it could be legalized or not, yes. And we have to be prepared as society. And for example, I have a daughter, and we have to talk about this in some moment. We have to, in order to prevent, or in order to, because we don't know if our children, they get to it sometime, and it's just like an approbation, and things like that. Yes.
Thank you, Rafael.
Teacher, I think that the mass media are responsible to the young people are consuming marijuana and other drugs, because in the television promote the consuming, showing, for example, soap opera and other programs that encourage to the young people to smoking or use these drugs.
Okay, could be. John, I'm going to enable your mic. John?
Hi, teacher. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Talking about Colombia, I see that the proponent says that it will be add billions to the economy, and that I don't know how to say it. They look the economy, they look the money, if only they cares. Talking about mental and other facts, they only looks for money. I think the proponents only looks for money.
Okay, so the ones that are for, they just focus on business, on the business.
I consider that actually, as we are checking here, there are more the problems that this legalization will bring to our society. Actually, it will be out of control because we have kids looking at what is happening in the society, because we have more healthy healthy problems. There are problems with the economy. Actually, I I against with the legalization at all, because I think that this will be the opening to more and more and more and more problems.
Um,
Fernando?
I would like to add something, and I agree with who was talking, Carolina or Paola?
Yeah, Carolina.
Yes, I am totally against legalization because once they legalize it, people will take it as an excuse. So
Hmm.
everybody will be able to smoke every time they want. Besides that, the problem with cartels and everything, that won't stop. That will get even worse because people will try to um, deal with drugs in different ways. They will try to sell it in different ways because now since it's legalized, people will buy it like everywhere. So that problem won't stop. So I am totally against legalization.
Okay, thank you, Fernando. Well, Rafael mentioned the idea of talking to children and to daughters and sons about this problem, because as well as alcohol and other drugs and other addictions, people are exposed to that. Do you think that restricting, for example, children and young or adolescents, do you think that restricting like some TV programs or restricting some situations or uh, some information to children and to teenagers could help, or it could be, or it could have probably the opposite effect?
Depends. It depends, teacher, because it is like the way how you do it. I think that it has to exist a dialogue, a very natural dialogue, and sincere about it. Yes, and the pros and the cons about many things, and it is just about explaining to the because children they learn a lot, and they see many things, and they understand many things. Even they are 5 6 years old, they understand a lot. My daughter, she's 5 years. uh, yes, and she understands a lot, and I sometimes I get impressed because, oh my god, this girl learns really fast. And I think that it is just about the dialogue, and sometimes I restrict things, but she does it. She please
Mm,
don't do that, and she does it. And how to control? We can be all time watching them. We can be all time like supervising them, because you can be there all the time. But if you talk to them in a really sincere way, maybe yes, they are going to realize, yes, the pros and the cons about it. And sometimes they are going to fail. Yes, sometimes they are going to disappoint us as fathers, because they did things that we told them, yes, that they didn't have to do it. And you sometimes get disappointed. Oh my god, my daughter did this, and it is sad, yes. But they understand with the time. They understand that it is not good. And they understand the position of us as fathers, why we restrict that, and the reasons, yes. And I think it's that just it has to see a very natural dialogue, a very sincere dialogue about it, about things, about, for example, pornography, for example, alcohol, bad use of drugs, and all those kinds of things. And in any moment, yes, they are going to understand, and they are going to realize what is harmful, what is good, what is bad. And well, I want to say something. If we as fathers, for example, teach children from very early, yes, when they get old, they are going to be like more conscious about many things. But if we don't do it in an early stage, when they get old or they get older, they probably they're going to be like consumed with those things. Yes, so it's a tax. We have to do it early when they are children. Yes, because when they get teenagers or older, they get out of control. I think so.
Okay.
Actually, I agree with Rafael, but actually I want to make an emphasis
Teacher,
on we have to keep up, we have to find a balance, because when kids watch all these kind of TV programs, movies, okay, all the things that they can see on TV or internet, it will be like very popular and normal for them. That will be the example that they are going to follow. So I don't know, I make the comparison on how my parents like help me to understand many things, because they talk to me, they explain a lot of things to me, but actually they keep the, I don't know, like the space, the respect, um facing like different things. I don't know how to say that. I mean, I want to make emphasis on we have to keep the balance. We can't show everything to the kids, because that will be yeah, it will be out of control. But we have to talk to their reality, because we have to talk to them about what is happening now. But we cannot be like, okay, all this is happening, you can do it, or I don't know. We have to find that balance. We have to like take those phases of the problem.
Okay.
teacher.
Tanya?
Well, I agree with my parents. I think that if you generate security and confidence in your children from now, for example, in my case, my baby is 4 years old. Um, if you generate that things on they will be strong people with a strong character. Obviously, it is important to supervise the things that they see, the things that they do always, but they will be less influential people. Well, it is normal that they want to experiment different things and know everything, but it is important to speak with they to tell the truth. And well, I repeat, it's important to generate security and confidence, so that they tell you all the things.
And how do you do that? Like talking to them and not like how do you have or help your kids to feel secure with you, or to tell you what happened with them?
Well, I think there is important the dialogue in all the cases, and build trust. I don't know. For example, I don't know. Uh, the important thing is that you kill the kid. I'm sorry, that you kid feel that you can hear him or her, uh, independent the things that I don't know how to explain you.
That you can listen without judging.
Yes, yes.
Okay. A hard task.
Yeah, it's so complicated, but we can do it.
Do you have any teenager at home, or any of you?
Yeah,
You have a teenager, Tanya?
my brother, yes, my brother is 12 years old.
Okay. And is he a quiet person, or is he a curious and risky person?
he's a curious person, and he speak with me a lot more than with my mother or my father. I don't know if they he feel that I am younger. I don't know, but he's like, well, I am like his best friend
Uh-huh.
because we can speak about different topics without taboos,
Yes.
and I think that it is important for my brother.
Good. Good that he can talk to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Tanya. Does anybody else want to say something about this topic?
Sure, happen that many times you talk with your son or son young people, and the curiosity is more bit, and I think so in this case, the most uh, the most helpful for the people, for the young people, is that you teach with your example. For example, is you teach to the young people that they drink every Friday or every weekend, the young people absorb this idea. But if you teach to these people that they, for example, exercise or education or other things that improve her quality of life, they they can they can absorb this idea, I think.
Okay. So show the kids that there are other activities that are good to for their free time.
Yes,
Something
teacher.
they can do, but by doing it on your own, so they can see.
Actually, I agree with Jaime because that's what it happened in my house. Actually, my parents, they teach, I trust them, but they teach me like with their example. They don't have to talk about sexual things or all these popular topics with me, but actually I can see how they behave, how they do things, how they work, how they fight for the things that they want to earn. So actually I'll say that actually acts can teach more than what you can say.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I agree. John?
Teacher, I think if you, sorry, if you restrict something, you make it more excited to youngers and children. So we don't have to think about restrictions. We have to think about how to explain that things they are watching, that things they are hearing, the things they are feeling, not talking about restrictions.
Okay. Hmm. Parents have a difficult task.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, any other idea? Well, thank you a lot for your participation. Well, let's move to the other part of the encounter. We have some minutes left, and the idea is to review the topic that you studied last week in Dexway, which is the passive voice. So again, I will share my screen to show you some information about this. So What you studied in Dexway is that a passive voice can be constructed with any tense, with present, past, present continuous, past simple, past continuous, with all the tenses. So what we will do is that every encounter we will have some exercises to work with one of the tenses. So today we're going to work with past simple. So who remembers what is the difference between passive voice and active voice? When do we use one and when do we use the other?
The passive voice is used to emphasize the verb.
We emphasize the verb. Actually, it's when we emphasize the situation or the object.
The object that is receiving like the action.
Yes, so remember that in English, in active voice, we usually have the same structure, which is the person that makes the action, then the action, and then the complement. In the passive voice, we put first the object of the sentence, and sometimes we don't mention the person who makes the action. So the structure changes. Here we have an example. The first paragraph is has active voice, and the second paragraph has passive voice. In the first paragraph, we have verbs in past simple. So it says, last night, some people robbed the school. So who robbed the school? Some people, right? They took some supplies. Who took the supplies? They, the people who robbed. They broke a window, they stole a television and two computers. Finally, they photocopied all the final exam papers. And on the second paragraph, we have the story, but in passive voice. So we don't mention who robbed and who broke the window, who stole, but we mention the action, or we mention the situation. So last night the school was robbed. We don't mention who. Some supplies were taken, a window was broken, a television and two computers were stolen, and all the final exam papers were photocopied. So what you see in this example is that when we have a sentence in active voice that have verbs in past simple, we use in passive voice, we use the verb to be in past and then the past participle of the second verb. That is the way. If we have here robbed, here we have was robbed. If we have took, then we have were taken. If we have broke, we have was broken, and so on and so forth. If we have stole, then we have were stolen, and if we have copied, then we have were copied. Right? We're going to do a short exercise to practice this. We have here some sentences. Well, actually, where are the same sentences? So, hold on a second. They are the same sentences. What it says is the structure. In active voice, we have the subject first, then the very past simple, and then the complement. In the passive voice, we put first the complement or the object of the sentence, then the verb to be in past, and the past participle of the second verb.
Mhm.
If we have in the object is one, then we have was. If we have that the complement is plural, we have were. The same here. The final exams is plural, so we have here were photocopied. Now, to practice this, let's think about changes in the last 20 years in Colombia. For example, the peace agreement between the FARC and the government was signed, virtual education was created, transport was changed, the minimum wage was raised, taxes were increased, the bilingual program was created. So which other changes in Colombia can you name in the last 20 years? Or think about your neighborhood, changes in your neighborhood or changes in your city. Or maybe changes in your family, or changes in your home.
Using passive voice, teacher?
Using passive voice.
For example, the quality of life in my family have improved.
The quality of life in your family was improved.
Okay, was improved.
Yes.
But we can use also past participle.
We use it.
Yes.
Yes. The quality of life.
Because I said the quality of life my family have improved. Is that okay or?
No, it was improved to use passive voice.
Okay.
And we don't say who improved it. We just say, we talk about.
I said have improved, or it is not.
It is a good sentence, and the translation will be la calidad de vida de mi familia ha mejorado. But if we want to use passive voice, la calidad de vida de mi familia mejoró. Mejoró. No decimos quién ayudó a mejorarla o cómo. No decimos quién hace la acción, sino que mejoró.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Okay.
Understood.
We can say that technology was changed, like was a, I don't know, it was like more advanced. I don't know what verb I can use there.
Technology was improved?
Improved, yeah. But actually, I cannot say technology was improved people's life because that will be active voice.
Yes, because you said that the one that makes the improvement was technology. So if we can change it, could be people's life was improved.
Okay, yeah, so that would be the other way. Okay.
Were improved. And if we want
by
to
technology,
add, yes, we can add by technology at the end. It's not necessary, but we can add it. If we say, if we just stop the sentence after improve, it's okay. People's lives were improved in the last 20 years.
Okay.
Think about your homes or your business or your job, your neighborhood. What has changed?
More buildings were built.
More buildings were built. Very good. What else?
Maybe the salary was increased?
Yes. What else?
For example, in my neighborhood, a group of criminals were catched.
can say here what or where because it's a group.
Okay. Yes.
Were cut. You need to use the past participle.
Okay.
Sure. More races were won for Colombian cyclists.
Yes. What else?
A massive transportation system was established.
Uh-huh. What else?
More appliances and goods were brought to Colombia.
Uh-huh. Fernando, Angie.
Okay, very good. We could say that unemployment was fixed.
Unemployment was reduced, let's say.
Thank you. Yes, was reduced.
Uh-huh. Angie?
Thinking in an example. I'm not ready yet, teacher. Right.
Okay. So this
The
is the
taxes were increased.
what? Taxes?
The
Taxes were
taxes were
increased. Yeah. That one is here. So this is the way sentences are constructed in passive voice with when we talk about past actions in past simple. Yes, if we want to put an action that was in past simple in the active voice to the passive, that is the structure. So next time we can work on exercises about the use of a past continuous or a past perfect and the passive voice.
Did you have one question?
Fernando, yes.
When the active starts with someone or somebody, for example, somebody came to my house on Wednesday. How can I change that to passive? It's been hard for me.
So it will be a, you say, for example,
On Wednesday?
No, if you say, for example, Sandra came home last Wednesday.
Yes. Is it okay to say last Wednesday Sandra came home?
No. You are just changing the
order, right?
Yeah. No, you know what? Because not all verbs work with that. The verb needs to be transitive. So the rule to write passive sentences is to have a transitive verb. A transitive verb means that the verb can have an object. So, for example, do, the verb do. I do something to somebody or to an object. Reduce. I reduce something or an object. I reduce something. So the verb needs to have or can be, I need to be able to use something after the verb, or I need to be able to write the name of a person after the verb. So it is necessary to have an object in the sentence. Somebody makes the action and somebody receives the action, or an object receives the action. That is a transitive verb. With the verb con, that doesn't happen, it's not transitive. But improve is a transitive verb, and all the others that we have here. Rain is not a transitive verb, so I cannot write a sentence in passive voice with the verb rain.
I have my example.
Okay, what is your example?
For example, the last bottle of wine was taken from my fridge.
Can you repeat, please?
The last bottle of wine that I have was taken from the fridge.
Could you spell the word, the last one?
A fridge, or how do you spell? Yes.
Could you spell it, please?
Okay. F-R-I-D-G-E.
T.
No.
From the fridge?
Yes, fridge.
Okay. All right, good. And we don't say who took it.
Yes.
But we just write. We write first the object that the object of the sentence.
Mm-hmm.
The object is the bottle of wine. Here the object is the unemployment. Here more appliances and goods. We could mention at the end who makes the action. For example, more buildings were built in my city in the last year. More buildings were built by the government in my city. In the last 20 years. So if we want to write the person who makes the action, I need to introduce it with the word by. A group of criminals were caught by the police. Here we introduce it. More races were won by Colombian cyclists. A massive transportation system was established by the government. More appliances and goods were brought to Colombia by different companies. Okay. The last bottle of wine that I had was taken from the fridge. The last bottle of wine that I had was taken from the fridge by a friend of mine. So if I want to write the person who makes the action, I need to use the word by to introduce the person. Any question about this?
It is really hard to use it. Sometimes when you use it, you don't even notice. So that's the reason why you're not used to use it oftenly. So it is hard. It's a really hard topic. And it's been hard for me like since always. I have been an English teacher like for 10 years. And I always find it hard to teach this passive voice because it's hard to understand.
It's because we don't use it that often. So that's the reason. Maybe that's probably the reason why it is difficult for Spanish speakers or Colombian speakers. We don't use passive sentences in Spanish that often. That in English is very common. Okay, any question?
The passive voice, actually the passive voice, a good exercise to do is watching news. When you watch news, you practice passive voice.
Right, yes. Yes, because news usually cannot, it cannot assure the people who made the actions, that they usually focus on the situations or the actions, on what happened. So that's a good idea, Fernando. Okay, any question?
No, teacher. I don't have questions.
No, teacher, I
Okay.
don't have question.
Good. Well, I need to stop the encounter because I need to start a new one. So I appreciate your participation, and we will meet next week, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, teacher, thank you very much for
Thank
everything.
you.
Bye, teacher.
Bye-bye.
Bye, teacher.
Bye, teacher.